Sam Morgan, ex-mine worker. I'll adjust this, Sam.
Right, I was going to do one of the things where I wrote a series of things about growing up in 1950s, but since we've got some Orgreave interest in, I've written this one loosely to a tune by Ralph McTell called Streets of London. Only this one I've called Fields of Orgreave, and this is dedicated to thousands of men who stood beside me in 1984. Did you see the young man as they dragged him from the field, bleeding profusely from his broken skull? Lost his cap, lost a shoe, no quarter from the boys in blue. Compassion cells empty, wallets all full. Did you see the garbage in the filthy Tory papers? Pure propaganda and downright lies. Orders from the Tory witch, who milked the poor to feed the rich. Ice in her veins, pure hatred in her eyes. How can you tell me this was England in 1984? Let me take you back in time into the brutal fields of Orgreave, the time the Tory soldiers and the miners went to war. Did you hear the drumming of the truncheons on the shields as truncheon-clad troopers prepared to go? Suddenly they all burst out, waving their truncheons about, but some miners stood there and they traded blow for blow. Did you see the horses as they galloped into pickets, long batons flailing towards any soul? Snatch squads ran in riot gear, snarling dogs brought up the rear, all of them relishing their picket bashing role. How can you tell me this was England in 1984? Let me take you back in time into the brutal fields of Orgreave, the time the Tory soldiers and the miners went to war. Did you hear the cheering from Thatcher's brutal legions, uniformed thugs who stood 6,000 strong? Some behaved in awful shame, striking miners took the blame. 30 years later, we still know who was wrong. Did you hear the banshee playing to the cameras, labeling the strikers as the enemy within? Standing there with spite-filled eyes, spouting fabricated lies, peddling her hatred and pure Tory spin. How can you tell me this was England in 1984? Let me take you back in time into the brutal fields of Orgreave, the time the Tory soldiers and the miners went to war. Could you smell the hatred from those policemen in the fields, mercenary servants of the ruling class? They grabbed their 25%, all neutral aspirations went. They filled their bellies, tried to make us eat grass. Did you hear the headlines 30 years later? Official secrets released at last. Much too late, the pits have gone. Superstores now stand thereon. All our mining heritage consigned to the past. How can you tell me this was England in 1984? Let me take you back in time into the brutal fields of Orgreave, the time the Tory soldiers and the miners went to war. Did you smell the bullshit from the Nottinghamshire blacklegs, sucking up to Tories as they formed the UDM? But just like Greater Ixon Link, bullshit always tends to stink. Predictably, their Tory mates soon turned on them. Did you hear their bleating, those UDM miners? Their marriage to the Tories, always doomed to fail. They closed their coal mines one by one. Shortly they will all be gone. The UDM now toothless, while Greatrix went to jail. Yes, you believe it. That was England in 1984. Thatcher scattered hatred seeds. Her police enforced her dirty deeds in days when the establishment was rotten to the core. Thank you.